Hello everybody, we're going to learn today about decimals to percents and percents to decimals. Converting a decimal to a percent is fairly easy if you know how to read values of money. I like thinking about values of money because if you think about 1 penny, so let's say I have 1 penny right there. Okay, that means I have 1 cent. And if you pay attention to the word percent, it has the word cent in it. Okay, 1 penny. 1 penny is 1/100th. If you think about place value. And if you tie this to money, then you're able to know that it takes 100 pennies to make $1. So going back to 0.01, okay? If I were to erase this and go back to 0.01, what percent is this? Well, I know that the word cent is inside of it, inside of percent, and I know based off of place value that this is 1/100th. Then I can say this is equivalent to, sorry, this is equivalent to 1% because percents are special fractions out of 100. The whole point is to make your decimal out of 100. We're lucky here because the 1 is in the hundreds place value. Think of 1 penny. Oh, that's 1%. Okay, so if I have a different number like 0.5, whoa, sorry about that. Okay, 0.5, and I think about place value. Okay, this is 5/10 because this is in the tenths place value. And if you think about money, the coin value never looks like that. It's usually 2 digits. So if you think about that, it's because there's 100 pennies in $1. So we need to go to the hundredths place value to really know how many coins, how many cents this is. The first example was 1 penny, 1 cent. Okay. This example, I don't know what's in the hundredths place value. It's missing. Okay. And when we're reading this number as a whole, not a whole, but as up to the hundredths place value, if I were to place a 0 right there, then I would know this is 50 cents. That's 50 hundredths. That means 50 pennies out of 100 pennies make $1 or half $1, right? That's half. 50 cents is half of 100. Okay, now if anything out of 100 is a percent, then that means, again, this is 1%. This is 50%. Okay, that's awesome right there. Okay, so 0.01, 1%, 0.5, 50%. Now I'm going to show you one more. If I have 1.6, whoa. This is kind of hard now, but it won't be hard if we can make this out of money. So If I think about money, I need one more number right here. The hundreds place value to make it add it like monies, right? Now I have 1.60. So I know that this part on the left is 60% because it's 60 hundredths. But what about the whole number? Well, if I think about money, this whole number right here is basically a dollar. How many cents are in a dollar? Oh, 100 cents. 100. Out of 100. Is a dollar. Now if I combine these two, this one and this one, what do you think you might have? You will have 160%. Okay? 160 pennies make $1.60. Okay, now we're going to go into the percent to decimal. We're working backwards this time. What if I have started off with 1%? Okay, well, I know that a percent is a special fraction out of 100. So I can immediately rewrite this as 1 over 100. And if I pay attention to place value, okay, when I'm making decimals, I have a tenths place value and a hundredths place value. So 100ths will not go here because this is the tenths place value. So then it'll go over here in the hundredths place value. I'm going to place my 1 there. And I cannot leave my tenths place value empty. So then it becomes 0.01. Okay, let's continue. If I have, let's say, that 50%, I'm starting off with that. How do I make this into a decimal? It's the same exact way of thinking. Percent is a special fraction out of 100. So then I know that this is 50 hundredths. And if I'm very good at my place value, which I should be because we learned place value since we were really young, we should be good at this, then we would know that 50 hundredths would literally be 50 hundredths as a decimal. This is called 50 hundredths because the last digit in my number in the hundredths place value tell its name, 50 hundredths. Okay? So let's continue with 160%. Okay, that percent is a fraction out of 100. That never changes, even if my numerator is big. 160 over 100. Whoa. Okay, now that this is happening, we can't freak out. Well, we know that 60 hundredths would look like this. And since 100, it's 100 more, 100 of 100 is a dollar. It'd be like this. You can think of it as 160 pennies. How would I make that into a dollar? Well, I have to make groups of 100 to make a dollar, which is right here. And then what's remaining would be just my cents value. See? There's another way to do this. If you don't like thinking about place value, you don't like doing it that way, and you might want a different strategy, then you can take these fractions and do the in and out method. And for some people, it's a little more work, but they prefer to do it this way. It just makes their thinking go a little in the direction they want to think. So if I do in and out to 1 and 100, oh wait, I did this wrong. So silly. I did this wrong because what goes in is a numerator, in over out. So here we go. I'm gonna draw my little house, in over out. When I divide my fraction, I will get 1 divided by 100. Okay. 100 doesn't go into 1, it goes in 0 times. 0 times 100 is 0. Take that away. You get 1. You add the decimal. You button up the shirt. You add a 0. And you drop that 0. And now 100 goes into 10. 0 times. And 0 times 100 is 0. And then I get a remainder of 10. But I have to add one more 0, right? And now 100 goes into 100 one time. And as you can see here, when I do the in and out method, this matches this. So that's another method. You can either think about it as place value, putting the percent into a fraction and then thinking about place value, or you can take the percent, make it into a fraction, and do the in and out method. Okay? So that's all to it.